us off.
Good afternoon or good evening, Coach Davis. Charles Grievous here with GoBlackKnights.com. How are you doing?
Great. How you doing, Chuck?
Doing well. I know that Riley, Buchanan, Robinson didn't play in Saturday's scrimmage, but can you talk about how they've been performing and progressing through training camp?
Yeah, I think they've all been very professional. They've all been very professional with the way they've handled the reps I've given them. And they've been great with taking mental reps when maybe they're not involved in a drill. And I think they've really been on top of the mental side of things. And Saturday, I thought they did a great job of coaching younger guys and guys in their position that that were in the game. So that's what you hope to see out of a veteran in that position who maybe you're holding out limited reps. And then they've gotten their share of reps as well in practices, just controlled situations. And, we didn't need to put Jacoby Buchanan on a 4th and 1 in the scrimmage last Saturday at Mikey Stadium to know that he can convert in that situation. And you know what I mean? It's just, he's ready to play. He will be ready to play. Obviously, no one's ready to play till next Saturday or 2 Saturdays from this Saturday. But as far as mentally, we don't worry about that.
Great. You touch upon an aspect that very often is overlooked, and the mental aspect of the game. And you talked about their mental reps. Can you kind of elaborate more on what that means, particularly in terms of training camp, et cetera?
Yeah, I think that we talk about this with all our players. Anytime you're not involved in a rep and you're watching, you need to have your eyes on the guy that is in the game and is involved, and trying to anticipate what needs to be done, what needs to happen, but as far as pre-snap eyes, and then what the possibilities might be, and then reacting to it. And the more you do that, I think the game slows down for you. You start to see some keys and things that may happen with the defense where you can anticipate where things might be headed. And the better you get at that, I think the faster you can play. So the older you get, I think when you're a freshman and sophomore, maybe you're trying to survive and figure things out. And some guys survive on ability. And then as you start to get more experience and football IQ expands, I think guys really start to see it from defensive perspective, and the game really slows down for them.
Great. And my follow-up and final question, some may say that this is a season where you truly move away from the traditional trip option offense, the more RPO style, although the stable of talented fullbacks may have a different perspective. Can you talk about how you project the season's offense compared to maybe perhaps 4 or 5 years ago?
I think we're a power running football team. I think it's not about what plays we choose to run. It's about how our guys run them, and are we efficient? Are we physical? And does it fit the personnel that we have? Whether that's running more triple option, or whether that's, running more zone read or split zone, or whatever it might be. That may change from game to game, depending on what we're seeing. But we want to run things that fit the personnel that we have. We want to run things that allow us to be efficient. We want to run things that, take advantage of physicality and a brand of football. And so I don't think that's necessarily lend itself to you have to be this or that, or you have to quote unquote evolve or anything like that. I think that it's ever evolving, and and game to game, series to series, and the key is, do you have the right schemes for the personnel that you have, and even more than that is, are you good at them? If you don't have anything to hang your hat on, it really doesn't matter how much offense you have. You can have great schemes, and if you can't execute them and can't do it efficiently and it doesn't fit, then it doesn't matter.
Thanks, Brent. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
We'll go to Ken McMillan.
Hey, Brent. Ken McMillan from The Record.
Hey, Ken.
Brent, just give us an overall assessment. Are you happy with where this team is at this stage of camp? And can you drop us some names of guys who are stepping up into either new starting roles or good number 2 roles?
Yeah, I don't think you're ever happy until you really see a game and see how guys perform when the lights are on. But I know we're working extremely hard. Guys are really working hard. I know they're invested. I know they've taken ownership in our offense and how we help our team win. I don't think we're nearly there from an execution standpoint. Last 2 days of practices have been a little rough, and sometimes that happens this time of year. But Coastal Carolina doesn't really care about that, about our circumstances for a rough day or whatever, and so we've got things to fix, and we've got to execute better. I think there are things that get better every day. I think we have to get better at the average things. Operation, getting plays called, whether we need to change a play, making sure the right personnel's in, all the things that go into things that you just assume that should happen. We've got to get better at, and so that we can play the snaps correctly. And so we're not there from that standpoint. Having said that, I think there's a lot of guys that have kind of stepped up and are making plays for us. And that's really good to see. The guys that Charles mentioned that didn't play as much in the scrimmage. I think they've had really good camps, and we're excited about all those guys. There's some young guys that have done some things. Maurice Ballon comes to mind, just being he's not a young guy, but just being a guy who's changed positions and has really done a great job with everything that's asked of the slot backs. I think he's been a sponge and picked things up quickly, which is not a surprise when you move a quarterback. I think that's probably a feather in their cap, to be able to move to another position because they have the best knowledge of the offense. But so he's one that comes to mind. I think Cam Sure has made some plays playing wide receiver for us. He's a guy that's really come on, played quarterback in high school, and he's developing as a receiver. So he's a guy that has made some plays. I think Ajon Marshall has had a really solid camp, done some good things. So we've had some guys that have really stepped up that haven't played as much. Ajon's played, but Shane Buckingham and Simon Dellinger at tackle come to mind, just as far as guys that have really developed. We feel really good about at this point. Jackson Filipowicz is a guy that was a backup center that's kind of worked his way into a starting role. Feel really good about him. He continues to get better. So there's some guys, as there are every year, that continue to progress, and we're in the developmental business, and just guys as they get older, and mature and mature physically, start to emerge and play. So it's always exciting to see guys do that. That's why they come here to realize that dream, and it's awesome to see kids, work their way into getting on the field.
Brent, last question. This is a general football question. I think sometimes we take for granted that, you got 11 guys in the field and they all know what to do at the same time. But really, you're piecing together the running backs, the quarterbacks, the offensive line, and then the blockers on the outside. How easy, hard is it to get these guys on the same page? And is it harder here at Army than it is anywhere else?
No, our guys are capable of handling a lot, when it comes to communication or things that may help us from a standpoint of being multiple, where some people may not be able to handle as much. I think our guys are phenomenal at that. You want to make sure you don't ever have too much, and that, the things that you do help you, might be hard for the defense, but maybe are easy for you. Those are things that we're interested in doing, not things that are complicated for us. But I do think our guys do a great job of getting on the same page, as far as communication and things like that. So it's never as good as you want, but I do think they're capable of handling a good bit and adjusting. One of the big things is, do you have the ability to adjust during series or during games, in between series, at halftime? I think our guys really had the ability to recall something maybe we haven't done in a while, tweak something that we're doing, and go out there and execute it. And hopefully that'll prove true again this year.
Do you feel like your offense is more intricate or precise than other teams, or not?
I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on that. I would say this, Ken, it's more intricate than people would think, and they say, oh, they run the they run the wing tee or they run the flex bone. Well, we don't run either one of those offenses, and it's a lot more intricate than what people would think. But it's just an offense that fits us, and that's what's important.
Thanks, Brent.
Yes, sir.
We'll go to Ken Kreitzer.
Hey, Coach Ken Kreitzer with Cam Vets Media. Just maybe going over your offensive line. Obviously, 4 new starters this year with Connor Bishop at center. You talked about Jackson Filowitz? Is he going to be at one of the guard positions, do you expect?
Yeah, he will be. We really don't have 4 new starters, Ken. There's really, Connor Finucane was a starter last year at one guard, and Connor Bishop was a starter at center, and then Booby Law was a starter at left tackle. So there's 2 new starters, and Jackson Filipowicz right now is the number 1 at left guard, and Shane Buckingham is number 1 at right tackle. So that would be the starting 5 if we played tomorrow. Those guys are in competition every day, and they know that. So it's a very fluid depth chart, but we feel like we're getting closer to having more guys that are going to be ready to play this year, where we can run guys in and out, keep guys fresh. That's our hope.
And Coach Munkin on Saturday said he could be happy playing 1 quarterback primarily, or go with a 1-2 punch. And last year against Missouri, you played very successfully, 3 quarterbacks in the game. How is it? Is that a challenge for you to use multiple quarterbacks in a game?
No, I think maybe I think I said this maybe a few weeks back. Like, I think it presents opportunity for us where we can do something that maybe a team doesn't think is in that quarterback's wheelhouse, or go against a tendency that maybe they have mapped out for a certain guy. So that's I think that's opportunity for us as coaches to find those things and use that to our advantage. But also just we feel good about the guys that we have executing every facet of our offense, and that, okay, he's not just the running quarterback. It's not just he can throw it, but he's not just a 1-minute quarterback. We feel a lot better. I think we're a lot more comfortable with the group as a whole, and having all those guys being fully functional. And Coach Worley's done a great job getting them, to that point.
Coach, you're mentioning some of the offensive players. You've Tyrell Robinson, Isaiah Alston, and the 2 big fullbacks, and you got 3 senior quarterbacks. Is the amount of veterans you have in the backfield really an asset, allowing you to do more things?
Well, I don't know if it allows you to do more things. I hope it allows you to do things you do better. It's not really, again, it's not about having more or changing things. It's about continuing to execute at a higher level, and they may be able to handle new things, but we're not going to put new things in just to put new things in. It's something, if we find a new way to get a certain person the ball, I think that's, that fits within our scheme and fits everybody else. I think those are the things that are important. And, finding guys that need the football and figuring out ways to get it to them within the framework of what you already do, without changing things as a whole that affects everybody else on the field. That's what I think is important as for us as coaches.
And just final thought about Jacoby Buchanan. You mentioned him earlier. He's been discussing what weight he may want to play at. We've heard he may be up around 275. And also last year, you really unleashed him in the Missouri game, and he really came through. What are you working with Jacoby on?
Well, I think for him, it's a matter of he's really gotten better as a complete player and playing without the football. And so I think it's a matter of continuing to work on his tracks and consistency as far as, his eyes and, just his action keys and things like that, with some of the schemes that we might be doing that he hasn't run as much. So I think it's just getting him reps at the right things. Like I said, he doesn't need a rep on 4th and 1 with guys walked up in the gaps in order to run a conversion, zone dive. He knows how to do that. But there's other things and facets of his game where he hadn't had as many live reps that we try to major in, making sure he's in there for those reps. And so I think it's fine tuning. It's getting in physical condition, which he's doing a good job of. And then it's just being Jacoby. I mean, he's a physical, guy that runs with really good pad level that just falls forward and he's got great feet. To me, he's a fantastic football player.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir.
We'll go to Tom to wrap up with Coach.
Hey, Coach, Tom Shanahan.
Hey,
Hey,
Tom.
speaking of Jacoby, this is a question I wished I had asked him, but I'm thinking through the recruiting process, you have some insight on this. You know, a lot of high school coaches might have seen how big he was and made a lineman out of him. What did a smart coach see in him that they let him continue to be a running back at his size?
Yeah, I think first of all, he's got elite feet. I mean, and as far as in the hole and the ability to make subtle change of direction, he's got balance I mean, you would see in, guys that are really good wrestlers or something, just to stay on his feet. And then he's got vision to make sure he slides at exactly the right angle or he doesn't miss very many cuts or fits as far as where he's supposed to be. And I think he's just good with the football. I think all those things that, when coaches handed him the ball, they saw production. That's what I would imagine. They said, well, I don't care how big he is. That's an asset because nobody can tackle him, So I think that's probably what happened. If I was a high school coach, those were the things I think I probably would have seen. So